Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Danielle Morimoto, and I'm a design manager here at Adobe. I'm joined on this live stream today with Eric Snowden, the VP of Design over at Adobe, and Nishat Akhtar, Instruments VP of Creative. And we're here to talk about a very interesting and exciting live stream event, which is introducing the brand new Adobe Firefly. So Firefly was introduced today. It is a family of creative generative AI models. The very first model is trained to be commercially safe, and it's initially focused on the generation of images and text effects. And there's a lot more to come as well. So you may have heard a little bit about this new service. Maybe you tuned in to Adobe Summit keynote earlier today, or maybe caught some things on social. And if not, no worries. Eric is going to be running through a demo, and we will also be doing a live Q&A session. So like I mentioned, we are live, so please let us know where you're tuning in from, and be sure to drop all of your questions into the chat pod. Seeing a lot of people joining from all over the world. Carl from South Africa, we have Diego from Italy, we have people in Brussels to Australia, people in the US, all over. So thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I want to give Eric and Nishat a chance to introduce themselves to everyone on the stream as well. So I will hand it over to Eric first.
Hey, everybody. I'm Eric Snowden. I'm the VP of Design at Adobe, and my team has been working hard with a lot of other teams at Adobe to bring Firefly to life, and I'm coming to you from New York.
All right, Nishat, how about you?
Cool. Thank you. Hey, everyone. My name is Nishat Akhtar. I'm the VP of Creative at Instrument. Instrument is a digital agency working across product, brand, and marketing. I oversee design and writing, but anyone can be creative. I totally believe that. And I'm also an artist and a designer myself, so I'm really excited to chat here about this new release.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're really looking forward to spending some time with you both on this chat. Before we dig into everything, we want to make sure that we give everyone a chance to see an overview of Adobe Firefly and really see the service in action. So we're just going to kick things right off with Eric and let you give a preview.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds great. I think we're going to go ahead and show text to image first. And there are two different modules inside of Firefly today. The first is text to image, where you can type out a text prompt and get image results generated from that. And so I've typed out a prompt here and I get 4 different results. I think one of the things I really love about Firefly is the interface. So on the right-hand side, I have a ton of different controls around content types. I can do things like change the aspect ratio, and I have a whole series of effects. And so Firefly, like most models, has its own prompt language. But in addition to that, we wanted to make sure that we're bringing like all of that really front and center through the UI. And so as you can see, there's like dozens and dozens of different effects. I can start to combine effects. So if I select multiple effects here, I'm basically compounding them on top of each other. Some of the lighting effects are the ones that I really love, and to get like very specific looks from my images. And then when I click regenerate, it actually applies all those effects to my images. From there, I can download, I can do variations. So if I click here, I can do 4 variations and just sort of really keep refining the image that I'm trying to create. And so that's just a super brief overview of text to image. The second thing I want to talk about is text effects. And this one, text effects has been a total blast to play around with. It allows you to type out a little bit of text and then apply generative effects to the font. And so there's sort of 2 inputs. It's the word you want and then the effect you want. And so here it's applying this like chocolate texture to this font. I've got different variations at the bottom, so I can, audition different looks and just have a ton of control. I can decide whether I want it to really tightly or loosely adhere to the font metrics. I can change the font. So here I'm going ahead and changing the font. We've got control over colors and background colors. And it's just generating like these really fun images. And here I actually switched to a different effect. And within that same font, I'm just getting a completely different look. And so this is applying image-based effects on top of fonts and text you've selected. And we've announced a bunch of other modules coming soon, but those are the two first ones that we've put into the beta as of today.
Yeah, super exciting. I know that like there's a lot of excitement just coming through already in the chat pod from seeing this demo, and like Sean's like, wow, I need this. I know that my mind starts to go in a lot of directions about just the possibilities that this brings with the capabilities of Firefly. And I think that leads me to kind of my first question for you, Eric, which is just around like, what is Adobe's position on generative AI and what's the vision for Firefly?
Yeah, I think as we've been thinking about it, there's a couple of key, I guess, principles you would say that we've been following. The first one is really accelerating creativity, right? It's like you as the artist or the creator and AI working together to make something faster than before, to make something you couldn't make before, to make something that used to take a really long time, take less time, and sort of really like augmenting your creative flows. One of my favorite examples is from the video we showed when everyone was joining, and that's the ability, something we're exploring is the ability to generate, brushes automatically that you can then use in your favorite painting and drawing tools. And for those of you who've tried to make brushes in any tool, it's hard and it takes time to get it right. And so really looking at changing that. The other thing that we think about a lot is creator first. We want to make sure that people know what's in the model, how the model was trained. We've announced some things around content authenticity, where you can tell how something was created. We think that's really important. We're evangelizing this idea of a sort of a universal do not train tag, so people can mark their content as not allowed for training data. So we want to make sure that we're really thinking about creative people, because we're all creative people and we really care about that. And then I think maybe the last thing we think about a lot is control. And so we believe that taking something like Firefly and combining it with Adobe's creative tools, like that's the real secret weapon, right? It's combining those two things together. So you have the power of generative AI and then the tools you already know. And we're already seeing people make incredible things with those two, with that combination.
Yeah, that's great. And I know that in the chat, we also were seeing a couple questions around, I think Sam's here is around the creative development process. And so Nishat, for you, like, how do you feel about the creative development process, and how do you feel it will evolve with technologies like Firefly?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to see these platforms coming out and to see Firefly out here in the world. Congratulations to all of you. I know there's just so much work that gets put into developing something like this. When it comes to how does a tool or a service like Firefly serve the creative process? Eric, you mentioned this earlier, but really making concepting so much more efficient, to be able to prove out a visual idea very quickly and then iterate on it to illustrate something to a client or someone who is needing to visualize something within, a matter of seconds versus what might have taken a matter of weeks, can help projects just move more quickly, can help gain buy-in really quickly, and also can give artists and designers the framework of how we should make the finished product and be so much more clear about what that North Star is with a great reference. So for me, I think of it so much as a great concepting tool to move at speed, to help inform buy-in for a concept, and also inform what might help understand what the final product can be.
Totally. Now, Eric, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that one. We also have like some other questions coming in, but yeah, I just want to take a chance to see if there's anything you want to add to that piece as well around creative process.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great take. And I think like with the creative pros we've been talking to, obviously the beta didn't start for us today. We've been working with a bunch of creatives up until this point, and we hear sort of like two camps. One is I use it for ideation and I just get ideas out fast, and then I go do it the way I would have done it traditionally, or I use this as an ingredient generation machine and I've got little pieces and then I use those pieces as part of a bigger composition. And so I think those are the two areas where we're really seeing people kind of making strides today, but who knows where it'll all go in the future. It's pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, and we know that there's a lot out there already, and right, there are other companies that are working on generative AI, and that leads me to my next question for you, Eric, which is like, what makes Firefly different from generative AI tools from those other companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a few different things. I think for me as a designer, first and foremost, at least I hope that it's really intuitive. The interface is easy to use. It's easy to get started. I think some of these other AI tools can feel a little daunting at the beginning. We wanted to make something that felt like really approachable, even for pros. Like we want things to be easy to use too. I think what our model is trained on, which is Adobe stock licensed image and things where copyright has expired. Like we're trying to be really transparent about what's in it, and we're really going for a commercially safe model so people can use it after the beta period is over. People can use it in commercial work. I think that's like really important for us. The other thing that's really interesting is Adobe has 40 years of awesome technology that we can sort of mix in with Firefly, and so the results you're seeing aren't always just straight out of the model. We're using all of Adobe's magic to kind of like make the results the best possible. And so the combinations of, 40 years of imaging technology and then a great image generation, there's some cool stuff we can do. But ultimately, like the end goal for us is getting these capabilities into the Adobe products you're already using. Like that's our North Star. And we're early on that journey, and we're showing a lot of stuff in Firefly today as standalone, just because we wanted to get it out into people's hands as soon as possible, and so we can have that conversation with the community. But the real goal is to get Firefly into all of our tools to help you all be more productive.
Yeah, and we're seeing some things in the chat around, copyright and like tracking the images and things like that. And I'm wondering if you want to speak a little bit towards like content authenticity and kind of what Adobe's doing in that side.
Yeah, we've had this initiative called Content Authenticity for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. And it's really about content provenance, like who made what, how was it made? And I always joke that it's like nutritional information for content, right? It's like you deserve to know what goes into the content you're consuming, and you can make informed choices based on that. And it's not a judgment, but it's just like transparency. And so all of the images that are created with Firefly are tagged with content authenticity. So it's known that they were created by AI. And I think as this world advances, like having that view into how stuff was created becomes like super, super important. And I think, that's also a differentiator for us. We're trying to really be as transparent as possible when AI is used, because I think that's going to be important information for us to all know in the future.
Yeah, Nishat, curious like your perspective on that too, being outside of Adobe, since we're kind of within Adobe, just like your lens and perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much conversation going on around, I'd say around the creative existential experience, being an artist or a designer in this world where suddenly there's so many tools that are generating design that used to take an individual many weeks to be able to make. And now we have a model that can make it very quickly. I totally understand some of the aversion, and then I understand the excitement and the adoption, and all of that really boils down to the question of what is my viable career? What is the value of art? What is the value of my art? What is the value of my design? As individuals asking that question, I think it's really important. And I had it written down too, the Adobe's commitment to content authenticity is so critical in this moment to be able to be a key differentiator to other models we're seeing out there, so that artists can feel valued, whether they're participating in selling their imagery, or they can know that when you are generating something, you are utilizing a model that is accountable and representing appropriately artists that have been accounted for, or as you said, images that have been in the Creative Commons for many years. Not a lot of people are talking about that level of accountability on other models, and that is so important and different. And I find it really surprising and exciting that Adobe's doing that.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people just kind of excited, sharing their thoughts in the chat as well. And I think one of the other pieces that people are really interested in is like, how do we start to play with it? Like, how do we get this? So like, what's kind of next, what's coming? I don't know if you want to speak towards that a bit, Eric.
Yeah, and I think we hopefully have all the URLs to share, but if you go to firefly.adobe.com, that's our site where you can see all the different modules, but we also have a pretty exciting video that we're going to show at the end that shows what's coming next. And one of the things I really love about the site is we're being really transparent about where we're going. I think we're showing 9 or 10 of the next modules that we have in exploration phases, and we don't know if they'll all meet our bar of quality. We don't know if they're all the best ideas in the world, but these are all things we're experimenting with, and we're really trying to be open and transparent with that. And I think the thing that we're trying to do with this whole journey on Firefly is to really get everybody's feedback early and often. Like, what do you wish it would do? How do you wish it would be different? I think we've got a public Discord that links from the Firefly site where you can join in the conversations. And while we've been talking to a lot of artists and designers and creative people along the way, the goal is to get just as many people as possible giving us feedback, because we want to do this right. And it's, again, as like creative people, making the right choices is really important. I think you all have a voice in that. And I think for the people who have been in the beta, hopefully we've shown like this ability to iterate and take feedback in. And we want to continue that now that more and more people are coming in. And so we're going to be letting in a certain number of people a day. We're trying to ease it a little bit in. And we've got a lot of requests, but we're starting to let, people in as of today. And so go sign up.
Yeah, definitely sign up, test out the beta. People are sending in the link in the chat, which is great. So you can go ahead and sign up from there. And I think the next question I really want to pose at you, Nishat, is just with all this excitement around the conversation today and regarding Adobe Firefly or generative AI in general, like what is it that you in particular are most excited about in this space?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. One of them is just access to creativity. I think that these models really lower the barrier to experiencing that feeling of I thought of something and I made it. And, I don't believe in hoarding a practice of I'm the only person that can make something. I've been a designer my whole life, and that means you can only come to me. I really am excited about empowering people to feel creative, experience the process of making something, and participating more in making things. I love that. I love the barrier of entry being lowered. Also, accessibility with a capital A and a lowercase a for how a variety of people, not just people who never thought that they could make a creative thing, but people who can make things and make artifacts, images, who perhaps have low vision, perhaps people who can interact with Firefly, which I would expect has like high accessibility standards, is also super exciting. It's just inviting more people into the creative process overall. So I think those are the things. And I already said the commitment to content authenticity, which is just real integrity, which is critical in this moment because we're only going to go further with these technologies. And, I guess I just want to add one more thing, which is AI is not new. We've been using it in so many of our tools in our lives every day. I mean, I can think about Photoshop and Content Aware Tool and those sorts of things, but I can also think about spell check. And the tools are going to continue to evolve and make our lives easier and empower us to make more things that we didn't necessarily know possible, or move at a speed that we didn't know possible, and to feel really inspired by that, while also having a critical mind and thinking about what do I want to make, not just what do I want to replicate, but what do I want to make that I can pull my own individual cultural and creative context into something.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that it is not a brand new thing. There are just a lot of amazing new kind of avenues that we're going down. And I want to make sure, Eric, to give you a chance as well to share any last thoughts, kind of anything you're excited about or things you're looking towards as we're moving forward.
Yeah, no, I think everything you just said, I'll absolutely +1. And I think, the reason why I feel so lucky to work at Adobe and I love my job here is I think getting more and more people to express themselves and express their unique point of view, and hopefully putting beautiful things out into the world, I think is just something I wake up every day and I feel like really lucky to be a part of. And I think this is a piece of that puzzle. I would say personally, the thing that I'm the most excited about, and I think we've talked about this and shown this in some videos, is the ability to easily make custom trained models. And so the idea that, because Adobe Firefly is trained on a subset of data, there's a lot of things it doesn't understand. Like it probably doesn't understand your artwork, and that's by design, right? We don't want it to understand your artwork without your permission. But in the future, we're thinking through ideas of like, could you intentionally upload your own artwork? Maybe that's just for you to use. Maybe that's something you want to monetize in the future. There's lots of different ways we could go down that road. But for me as an artist, like being able to upload my own work and then sort of collaborate with an AI in my style, either for idea generation or ingredient generation, like that gets super exciting. And I've been doing that with some of our early prototypes, and it's fun to see, how can it break me out of a rut, or how can it give me a new idea I wouldn't have had otherwise? And I'm still super involved in the process. I still have a hand in everything that's created, but I feel like I've got something I can like bounce new ideas off of. And I think like models trained on your own artwork becomes like super, super exciting. And that's the thing that we've sort of hinted at that I'm like the most excited about in the future.
Awesome. So one last thing, what inspired the Firefly name? Just curious, Eric, if you have some insight you can share there.
That's a great question. I mean, I think there's something about that spark and like the light and everything that we were all really drawn to. But I think I am not a branding expert. I'm more of a product expert. And I think like for all of us, there was something we were just drawn to, maybe like pun unintended. But I don't know. I that's a great question that I think is more of a gut feeling than something I can like clearly explain. But like I love the name. I'm super happy with where we landed with that.
Totally. All right. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of wrap up with sort of the excitement that we have. I want to take a second to thank both of you for joining. And
Hey, everybody. I think we might have lost Danielle there, so sorry about that. She was saying thank you. Thank you all for coming. Nishat, thank you for being here as well. And we have a video that we're going to show that's showing, I think, 10 or 11 of the next ideas that we're experimenting with. And so hopefully this is a really fun preview into where we're going. But thanks everybody for coming.